be tackling one of my biggest canvases yet. This is 24 by 36, so 2 feet by 3 feet. And you know, for a lot of painters, for a lot of artists that have already exceeded this size, this is probably still like a beginner size. But for me, you know, I started off painting pretty small. These are some of my early paintings, and as you can see, let's see how many, you know, I could fit of these across. These paintings, I could fit 1, 2, 3. You know, I could fit about 5 of my first early paintings across one of these paintings. So, you know, going with the bigger size, I'm not going to do something something super super tight, and by tight I mean like I know exactly I'm gonna draw everything out. I don't plan on drawing everything out. I do plan on taking ideas that are just in my head and just running with it. That's the goal with this. You know, I think one way to tackle bigger and bigger projects. Hey, what's going on, Mark? How you doing? So as I mentioned for the intro, this is my biggest painting yet. So I was thinking like, hey, I can't really fit this on a vertical stream. It's really hard to fit it on a vertical stream without like, you know, having to come back really far. So I guess as I do bigger size paintings, I have the opportunity to do these like, what's it called, horizontal live streams. So that's what we're gonna do here. We're gonna do a horizontal live stream. Now this is this is your favorite, Mark. And what's going on? 24 by 36 is your usual size. Wow. Yeah, this is my first time with something this large, and you know the scary thing is constantly the idea of like I'll probably be at this. This is probably going to be my max size for a little while because definitely as you go bigger, there's so many more space considerations and things like that. I probably have to dump a lot of my smaller paintings or something. At least the ones that either won't sell, I'll probably just use them as like practice canvases or whatever. But space limitations, my goodness. So anyway, yeah, I can easily see how this starts to just like, these canvases just start to take over as you get bigger and bigger sizes. But it's funny because, you know, I've only seen your paintings from the images that you sent me, and looking at a phone, you know, I would never guess. You know, it's so hard to guess what size a painting is just by seeing it on a phone screen. But, you know, obviously compared to a person, it's way different. Like this is half the size of my body, almost. Like, you know, just to my stomach right here. I'm not 4 feet. I'm a little taller than 4 feet. But, yeah. So this is, it feels pretty large. This painting, but as I mentioned, I'm gonna break myself in, not with a with a very organized piece, but just kind of going all out and playing around with the design. That's interesting. Hold on 1 second. I need my phone for later. But let's take a nice big brush. I think this is a perfect canvas for a, actually, you know what? Let's build this up with a lot of small brush movements. So what's a brush that I might never use on a smaller painting? Here we go. Let's soak this in a little bit of oil. Why am I hiding? I'm hiding because I don't know what I'm gonna do on this paint thing. So let's see what kind of conversations are going on. What's our live chat? All right, so what do we want to start with? I'm gonna use this big brush, and I'm gonna build it up little by little. Just kind of start with what we're seeing. You know what? What I really need to start with is by adding paint to my palette. I'm thinking too much. So let me think. Let me just add a little bit of everything to start off with. We're gonna do, you know, standard ultramarine blue. Actually, you know what? I don't want to do ultramarine blue. I want to do, let's lay down our azo red medium, so like a more bright vermilion red color. I'm gonna lay that down. I'm probably gonna need a lot of paint. And then we got our azo red. We're gonna bring in some of our azo yellow, AZO, that's AZO yellow. I think the azo colors tend to be a little bit brighter. I think they're more of like hues, I guess is what they call them, like hues, which means that they're like less dense versions of the actual actual colors, I think, something like that. I'll have to look that up, don't quote me on that. Because some paint tubes will say like hue rather than the actual color. So we're gonna throw some pale green. I've been looking forward to using up the rest of these small paint tubes. So let me throw on down a lot of white. I always use a lot of white. Helps me make a lot of colors, even though I know there are better strategies to color development. But Mark, what are your thoughts? I know our paint styles are very different. I know you like to do some very interesting landscape work. So being a 24 by 36 painter, you know, how did you introduce yourself to a 24 by 36 as a size? I'm sure, you know, I did meet an artist recently. I sound like the woodpecker that hammers away at your tin chimney. Are you? What are you hearing? I don't know what you're hearing. It might be the air conditioning or something. But I'm throwing down a lot of white. Let's do that. And then throwing down our white. Let's go ahead and pop in some green here. And again, to be honest, I really don't know what I'm going to paint. It could be anything. I feel like whenever I graduate to a new size, I gotta acquaint myself with it because it is surprising. The most shocking thing, which it shouldn't be shocking, but it still is how much extra paint that you need to use for every time you increase the size significantly of your paintings. And it shouldn't be a surprise, but I'm usually pretty surprised. So here we go. We got some green, yellow, red. Some green, yellow, red, and let's go with some cerulean blue. Oh, when I was tapping my brush, yeah, when I was putting some of my brush down, or laying down, cleaning up my brush is what I was doing. So let's go ahead and lay this blue down here. Cerulean blue. And let's go ahead and throw down a Payne's Gray. You know, I bought all this Payne's Gray as a color. Psst, hey, go away. Kitty, no, up. Up. That's it. No, Go. Kitty, go. Here, look, go play with the laser. Come here. Go play with the laser. Right here. I have a hard time keeping the kittens away from my paint supplies when I'm trying to paint. I don't like them getting into my paint tubes. But anyway, Payne's Gray. I'm going to throw down some Payne's Gray. That's funny. When I bought Payne's Gray, I thought that it was a color that I would use so much because I wanted to avoid using black, but the more and more I paint, the more I find that I rarely ever use gray. But anyway, we got the color. Let's figure something out here. Got on large canvases after visiting a gallery and seeing big ones. Your biggest so far, 40 by 60. So 40 by 60, that's 5 feet, 6, 24, 48, 60. Okay, so that's 5 feet. Yeah. You know, it's funny. I met a guy at a art show, and he was doing basically 5 feet, 5.5 or 6 feet paintings. And he was like, that's how he started. He's like, you know, I need to go smaller because not only are they pretty hard to sell, but especially in LA, there's really just a limited clientele that you can really sell to because space in LA is so expensive. And yeah. So, you know what? I had a dream this morning that made me realize that I need to use more ochre, yellow ochre. So let's get some browns in this. I want to use some browns here. Let's go find some browns. Have a yellow ochre somewhere? Should have. The great thing about kittens is they're easily distractible, so we need some browns. So I'm going to throw down an ochre. And let's I should use up the rest of my my Van Dyke browns. So I'd like to add this as a brown right here. It's going to be a very brown painting. I'm procrastinating here. I'm trying to because I don't have a plan on what to paint. I like that. It's like it makes you like anxious, but at the same time, you know, there's like an excitement to it. And honestly, I feel like if you don't have a plan on what to paint, you should really just use a really big brush. So I should probably switch my brush up. Alright, so here we go. I'm going to switch my brush up, clean this brush off a little bit. Yes, that is your woodpecker. Alright, so Mizu, what's going on, dude? How are you? Mizu, Mark. Got a nice club going on here. Nice little art club, digital art club. I've been thinking about starting something like that, but wouldn't really know how to begin. Like, would it just be a forum, a Facebook group? Is that even useful? Like, there's so many Facebook groups. So is there like really a point? The Huzzah Creative Club. It could use some co-founders. But let's see. We will start. What am I seeing? I keep seeing the shape. Let's just start with this blue first and just go up here. I don't know. We're just going to go This is totally going to be an abstract piece. I'm going to do my best not to I think it's interesting how this shade of blue ended up being darker. And then let's go bring in some of this yellow. I'm having like these color flashes in front of my face, and that's how I'm basically painting. And you know, I definitely think the blue's affecting it. Like I'm looking at this canvas, it's all white. It's like creating all these like visual colors on here. And I'm kind of just exploring that right now. That idea. So the reason why I'm even going over this multiple times is I really want to fill this space and make sure that finally I have the opportunity to use some bigger brushes here. And I'm thinking, so this is a green. Let's see, what else? I mean, obviously yellow and blue make green. I didn't expect anything different. I would like more yellow to appear though. So I'm gonna figure out to clean off this brush. Clean off this brush a bit. And I'm thinking maybe I should use different brushes for different colors, but how do we want to do this? Let's go grab some more of this yellow. And let's see, where do we go from here? Go get a lot of color saturation into here, even though I'm still getting some of the blue and the green, but let's see. There we go. And let's find our reds. Actually, you know what? Let's go in with a yellow ochre here. We're going to throw down, make this look like some sort of tree trunk. And loosen the paint up a little bit. You know what? I'm gonna see what happens if I pour Gamblin solvent-free gel directly on the brush. Just gotta lather it on here. Are you prepared for your examination? All right, here. So let's see. When I do this long stream, the horizontal stream, I constantly have to tap the chat button because it doesn't show the chats the whole time. So here we go. Let's go with this. We're gonna lather this baby on here and just see what happens with. You know what? The solvent-free gel, I'm not really a big fan of. It kind of just really makes for like a very loose. The paint doesn't feel as loose as like a solvent, but it also doesn't. It like really doesn't change the texture. I think it like just spreads more. But look at this. Like, all it does is create this like this brushed effect. Well, maybe that's what it's supposed to do. So I don't know. Let's spread it out a bit. Yeah, I'm not a big fan of the solvent-free gel here. I'm not a fan. Let's just throw in some solvent and increase the spreadability of this color here. Trying to create a consistent design in this area. And now I am seeing red. So let's dip into our red here. Should clean off my brush a little bit. Just a little bit. I'm not going to totally take the paint off. I don't mind if these colors merge a little bit. Let's go grab our reds. Just going to go along the sides of it. What is this? It's so interesting because I know that I need to stop asking myself the question, what am I painting? I feel like that's a question that if you do a lot of like figurative work, right? If you draw from life, if you use references all the time, like myself, if you paint in plein air, if you're not used to like making things up, I'm constantly asking myself the question, and it's not a helpful question for this type of painting, I don't think, is what is this? What am I gonna do now? Right? What's this? What's this? I don't even get it myself. And I feel like part of me has to make sense of it. And I'm constantly asking myself the question, you know, what exactly is this? What sense am I trying to make? But I feel like that is the most unproductive question you can ask if you're trying to do abstract work. Like, I'm trying to make sense of things when, you know, in reality, it's kind of like a futile effort almost. And again, you know, there's all sorts of different types of abstract work. Like, you know, there's abstract work with a meaning, with an emotion, with a symbolism, with design, right? There's abstract work as design principles, abstract work, you know, all sorts of abstract work. But I feel like with what this method, it is unproductive to be asking myself the question, what am I doing next? What is this? What do I want to say? What do I want to mean? what is this? You know, the mental, the thinking brain, the logic brain, trying to make sense of everything, trying to put pieces together, trying to create sense out of everything. And let's find our purple now. We're gonna find our purple by mixing in with this red here. Let's grab some of this white. Grab a little bit more blue. Actually, this just ended up being like a gray. This is fun though, I gotta say. I feel like this is gonna sound dumb, but it feels very childish, but in like a positive way. Like if I was to watch someone do this, I'd be like, that guy's how old doing this type of artwork? And I guess that's a personal limitation. But you know what? I think it's visually appealing. I think it is visually interesting what is happening here. So we're gonna stick with this, and we're just gonna keep going with it. Let's see, where do we go with this? Where do we apply these colors here? Let's just start by adding shapes around here. I think every painting needs a face somewhere. Let's bring in mix in some of this brown. I'm going to grab some of this ochre here, bring it in right here. And what are these things? Let's grab our sponge from yesterday. How about that? Had this sponge. Let's add some grotesquerie here. The only thing I want to try to keep myself from doing, which I usually do with a lot of my paintings, is I end up just blending a bunch of colors together, which, like that. A lot of my abstract work tends to have this kind of like blending effect. So I'm probably just going to keep that like that, and I'm going to go in other directions. I do like this effect though. You know what? I'm gonna keep this in here. I don't know if did I like the I can't tell if I like the yellow more in there or whether I like the if I like this better. So all right, clean this brush off. Let's see what's happening. Looks like a fun start so far. I like the challenge of coming up with something on the spot. Yeah, Omizu, for sure. Yeah, I love the idea, and honestly, this isn't something. I think it would be better, like if I had even at least had an inkling of like, you know, oh, I'm gonna paint a dog sitting in a forest, right? Like an inkling. But who knows? Who is to say? Who is the judge of good, best, better? No one except myself. And let's go. Kind of like this. This is like mysterious. Let's throw a little bit of gray here. We're gonna throw in. It's kind of like. This is like funny because it's like a happy painting on top, but I can see these two visual imagery starting to turn in the route of like kind of ominous. I like that. Ominousity. What is my mind seeing here? I'm gonna blend this in with I'm gonna add some more gray into this line here. And let's go blue. Let's actually throw some of this gray to separate the shapes in here. I throw in a little cubism, right? A little cubism. Some cubist forms here. I guess with true cubism, it would be a very dark line, like super dark, super saturated, super dark. So who's what other artists are y'all keeping up with nowadays? I follow. You got to go to bed. Take care. Hey, take care. Thanks for dropping in. I've been following a lot of Mark Maggiore. I don't know if y'all know about him. He's an amazing like landscape figurative landscape artist, but just does these beautiful works. He sold a painting at auction for like $500,000 recently, which is pretty amazing. He's really good. Makes some amazing clouds. Probably, Mark Maggiore is probably one of the greatest cloud painters ever. That's how darn good he is. And you know what? I've seen a lot of cloud paintings. He is pretty remarkable. And you know what? It's one of those things where it's like there's something that he does that just has an effect to it. Clean off this brush. And let's use a darker blue. So what I'm going to do is take this light blue and mix it in with this gray. So we're going to get like a dark blue here. Oh, look at that! You can see the board, the wood plank come through because of how this is situated across the piece. And actually, no, I like this. I like having this blue here, so I'm gonna use this blue to just blend in this space. And let's find out. Can grab, let's see, yellow, the opposite of yellow is purple. So if I'm going to paint around this yellow, I need a nice purple, which, let me add blue to this section right here. Try to find like just the right combination of red, white. Let's add some white to this. I want this purple to have a little bit more red. Okay, this should do. And let's go like this. in between these blue lines, we're gonna add in some of these purple lines. I'm still working with like these like shapes that I see, like, you know, because of this big bright white canvas with these bright colors, like these random colors are just popping up in my visual vision, in my visual experience here. So what I'm trying to do is capture some of that. I'm trying to capture some of that experience, the visual. And I'm not saying this like I'm seeing things like you know, like I'm having images. I think these are just like, you know, reflections from the light and just like artifacts, visual artifacts. And then seeing how all of that works together. I'm trying to figure out what would go good in here. I think what it needs. Yeah, I guess let's just color it all green. Let's paint the inside a different shade of green. I want to lighten up this green though. So we're going to grab some white. We're going to lighten up this green. Create like a light green. We're just going to go around. We're going to darken the center of this. What's up, you two? What's going on? Stop being so mean, Fern. We gotta play nice with them. Let's grab this blue and put this blue in here. Let's go up and around. Up and around like so. Clean off this brush. Try to get a nice, good color on it. I feel like this is a painting that that you might see like the start of it. You know, the way I'm beginning, kind of. I feel like it would be like in a horror movie, where like you're looking at the painting of some innocent child, and somehow it has like all these like bizarre figures. I'm not saying these are bizarre figures, but I'm saying like the way the colors are. But you know, they're like usually in happy colors, but it's just like some horrible thing that the kid painted in the horror movie from their dream or something. But here we go. This needs some brightening up, or maybe we will keep it dark. I don't know. Let's see. You know what? Let's totally flip this painting. I need some new inspiration, some new ideas, a new way of seeing this. So let's grab this and flip it around like so. nice and center again. There we go. Where should we go from here? What am I thinking? Like, it's interesting because I'm thinking so much in thoughts and words of like, oh, what should I paint next? Should I do a head? Should I paint an abstract face? Should I do some cubism? But I think what I'm really seeking is a visual idea rather than a intellectual idea. And that's what I would say that I'm actually looking for right now is more of that, like a visual concept rather than a concept that's thoughts in a word. And I don't really know how to describe that, but I guess the way to describe it is just I'm trying to think of visual thought, but I keep thinking intellectual word thoughts. So back to the original, back to what I was doing from the beginning. I guess this is a good resort, is painting what I'm seeing visually. Or what I'm experiencing. I'm not actually, I'm like experiencing these visual effects on this canvas that aren't necessarily there. And I'm not saying I'm seeing things, but like, you know, there's like these light reflections of certain colors that are creating this like visual appearance. So I'm gonna go back to capturing some of that, some of those shapes and lines. Although I do wonder if I was an artist to say that I'm actually seeing things, if anybody would actually judge me, or just because of the fact that I'm an artist, that I'm painting, that people would be like, oh, okay, that's cool, he's seeing things. You're all, oh, wow, all right, so Danny E., welcome, what's going on? You're all also thinking Picasso. Thanks for chiming in. Oh, yeah, you're oh, whoa, oh, with a Matisse. Yeah, a bunch of random things put together. Matisse Picasso sandwich with a slathering of Kandinsky. I like that. Look at all these amazing ideas coming together. You know, who wasn't inspired by those greats? I've been writing these essays on my Instagram. So I put my paintings on Instagram. Which Mark Omizu knows this, but Danny, I think you look like a new name. So I find it funny because just yesterday I was writing about how I wanted to try a technique by Francis Bacon, and literally like I was thinking about it, and I was like, no, you can't do that. Like you can't try to mimic a great artist. Like who are you to do something like that? And this was just thoughts I had in my head, right? Obviously, I overcame them. I attempted some of the ideas, but I just find it funny that when we do try things or try to compare ourselves, some of the work that we do to really successful, well-known artists, that there's like this self-critique going on in your head. Like I've definitely looked at people's paintings and I'm like, wow, that's a great painting. It reminds me of whatever. And that's it. Like it's totally a compliment. It's totally like, it looks great. It looks amazing. You did a great job. and there's no other thought, no negativity there. But then when someone else says something like that to me, I'm like, oh, does it really? No way. It doesn't look like that. There's none of that. No, it's not possible. You know, so like I find it amusing. These thoughts I've recently had when you think of an artist and you compare them to other names. And what I'm thinking here is I need some white to go into here. But those of you here, feel free to chime in with some ideas. Your what you believe, is about tackling tackling yourself, overcoming yourself. Here's a book idea, The Art of Overcoming Yourself by Emmett Ferguson. That was an endeavor there. And yeah, painting big is pretty fun, I gotta say. I am enjoying this process a lot. I am loving this process. I'm loving the process of painting big. Especially for abstract stuff, because like, I think abstract work just doesn't look the same on a small canvas, like sadly. It's just the big in-your-faceness of a big canvas that I think lends well to an abstract artwork. And blue, the complementary color to blue is why am I forgetting this? Orange. Complementary color to blue is orange. So let's find a good orange here. Let's come up with a nice little orange. We're going to mix in some of our yellow, bring it over to our red, add a little bit of red to that, and then we're going to pop in a little ochre to like brown it out a bit, create like a brownish orange. And I think there's a lot of red here, but that's okay. You know what I often... Actually, I don't really think about this, but I think it's an interesting discussion point as far as art goes. You know, some of you shared some really amazing artists that you were seeing examples from: Kandinsky, Picasso, Matisse. And, you know, it makes me wonder, like, you know, we all love to like give compliments and search for, you know, the great qualities in other people's work. And, you know, I totally appreciate you seeing the positive, you know, those of you here are seeing the positive qualities. But it makes me think, what are the qualities, and I think this is important to consider, what are the qualities that make it not Picasso? What are the qualities that make it not Kandinsky? What are the qualities that make it not Matisse? What are the qualities that are lacking that make it feel like, you know, it's not quite there? Like, yes, there's like hints of this, there's hints of that, but it's not quite there, you know? Like, I think that's helpful to know. In a world so filled with compliments, I think it's good to know, like, what's actually missing, right? Like, what is the missing piece? Like, once we know, like, what we're like looking to kind of compare it to, I think it's interesting to dive in deeper. It's like, you know, what are the elements that lacks in Kandinsky? I feel like, you know, if I was to really analyze that, I'm only familiar with some of Kandinsky's work. I'm not like a Kandinsky expert, but I think, you know, there's a lack of an organization compared to a Vasily Kandinsky. I do see some of the playful qualities of like Kandinsky and like the musical, maybe some of the musical elements and the movement, but I think it lacks the organization. And I think Kandinsky's works like very, he'll have like these really thick elements on one side and it kind of just like moves and has a lot of empty space, and then it just has like these huge elements in another space. So, you know, there's, first of all, there's like too many different elements and they're not really joined by anything, I think. I could be wrong. I'm not a Vasily Kandinsky expert, so. And as far as Picasso, somebody mentioned Picasso. You know, I did go for this like abstractness, and I can see like Picasso did these like huge paintings that were just like somewhat chaos. You know, what's Guernica? Obviously, all these wild and bizarre paintings. You know, I guess it was painted World War II, or after World War I, just before World War II or something. Guernica. Alexa, when was Guernica painted by Picasso?
According to an Alexa Answers contributor, Guernica is a painting done by Pablo Picasso in 1937.
Yeah, so post World War I, going into World War II, had a lot of symbolism of things that influenced Picasso from what happened during World War I, and at least that's what I think I heard. But you know what? I think at that he had very specific figures. You know, he had a very specific way of painting and designing his cubism by that time. But you know what? I don't think this necessarily has cubism. I have a really hard time thinking cubist, by the way. Really hard time. And so yeah, and then what was the other one? Matisse, you know, I really don't know. I don't have a good example in my head of what Matisse painted, because I know Matisse is very good at painting expressive, like expressive lost my train of thought here, like expressive figurative work, like people dancing and stuff. I think that's one of his paintings, like people dancing in a big circle. But I don't think it lacks the storytelling. I think this lacks the storytelling of anything Matisse would do. I could be wrong though. I don't know a lot of Matisse's work. I don't know. What are some of the takeaways that I can apply from my random philosophical discussion here? Let's see. Sense of cohesion? How would I create a sense of cohesion? I don't know. Is that even necessary? Let's bring this. I mean, if anything, this section right here kind of like separates anything that could be cohesive. Let's clean this brush off. This brush has had quite enough use. Rinse it off with some oil. And how do we find a good color here? I want like a matte green or a pastel green is what I'm really looking for right now. I want a pastel green to fill in. Nice pastel green, which I guess I kind of found with this. Just gotta mix more of it. So get more of this pastel green here. It's almost like soft Easter green. Soft Easter green here. Let's do something with this. What are some forms and shapes? I mean, Kandinsky used a lot of triangles and like hard shapes, but I don't really have that. I'm not really like a hard shape kind of person. I do like a good circle like this, but I'm not really like a hard shape person. And Matisse used wild color palettes. Well, it sounds like you know Matisse pretty well. What would you say? You know, you were the one who shared the idea that some of this has elements of Matisse. So, you know, what would you say made you say that? And then what would you say are the things that are missing that, you know, totally someone else would be like, that's not Matisse. There's nothing, like, there's no way, not a single thing like this that is Matisse. And I don't mean like literally comparing it to a Matisse painting, but like, you know, I'm talking like little bits and pieces of their personalities. What would you say is like? So you put in red and yellow. So what would red, orange, yellow? Red, orange, yellow. Red, orange, yellow. So 3 back from yellow would be, 2 back from yellow would be red. So blue. What would be 2 back from blue? Blue, green, red, orange, yellow, orange. So we need to put like an orange dot in there. But before we do that, let's grab some more of this green color here. Put in our white. We're going to paint in this outside area. So you're saying the use of bright, saturated, pure color is very Matisse-like, but the simplicity of form and shapes is not, or the simplicity of form and shapes is Matisse-like? Let's unify both sides with some color from here. You know, I'm gonna name this. I want to name this something absurd like "Woman in Park with a Dog in Her Lap." Just as a like amusing thing to mess with the brain. Cleaning off this brush here. I cannot wait until summer is over when I can paint without smelling the strong scent of oil paints. Oh yeah, we need an orange dot. Yellow, orange on blue, red on green. Trying to find something that might go good in this green here. Maybe we'll grab our blue. Make a nice blue designs here. I'm gonna go. And there we have that. All right, what else? We put a little bit of this in here, right? Just a little bit. There we go. It kind of like messes up. I really liked how this has this shape in the background, like this like design in the background. I'm wondering like how I can keep that, but at the same time still like paint on top of it. Maybe. matter of ochre. Where do we go? Where do we go? Let's find our color in this area. You know what this painting needs? It needs some writing. Needs some words. Words are very meta right now. If you put a word into your painting, it like automatically becomes edgy. I'm being a little facetious here, but yeah. Let's find a good word brush. We're going to take our gray. Desire. You know, it'd be an interesting idea, and I'm sure it's already been done, but an entire painting that's just words. Like little letters here and here, like an entire book, just like an entire book basically written, but like the letters are like so close together that they basically make like images throughout. I would never do that, but like that's almost like harder than pointillism. Let's see, I'm gonna go across here. We're just gonna do little lines. I'm gonna start with this brush. Let's grab some of this blue here. We're just gonna go ooh, I just got an idea. What I gotta do is, how am I gonna do this? Let's see. What's a positive way to approach what I'd like to create right now? We're bringing this green. Some of this green here. Paint these greens into here. Alexa, why did you make that sound?
I'm not quite sure how to help you with that.
Alexa just made a sound. She can't answer me why she made it. Alexa, why are you listening to me?
I'm designed to protect the privacy. On Echo devices, you'll always know when Alexa is listening to your request and sending it to Amazon's secure cloud. Just look for the blue light indicator or listen for an audio tone. Learn more by visiting amazon.com/AlexaPrivacy. By the way, I have a new notification. Do you want to hear it?
Alexa, no. Alexa, I'm painting.
This might answer your question. Painting is a visual art, which is characterized by the practice of...
Alexa, off. You know what I need is Kandinsky, I feel like, would be listening to music if he was painting right now. I guess, actually, you know what? Was he even alive when there was like... Alexa, when did Vasily Kandinsky paint?
Vasily Kandinsky paintings date back to the late 1980s, with his most notable piece being the side/act, which consists
Okay, Alexa, off. I was wondering if Vasily Kandinsky was alive when they had like musical, what do they call it? Musical stuff for your head. You put them on your head, like whatever those, the cassette tape players or whatever, CD players. Alexa, when was the CD invented?
The CD-ROM version of the CD was invented in 1982.
Okay, so he probably died just before, or he probably was not alive during that era. I like this effect that we got going on right now, mixing these colors in to create this like textured effect of this painting. Let's add this blue in nice and deep. Hey, buddy. It's our kittens. Still have not found somebody to adopt them yet. So if you like cats, if you like kittens, and you're in the Los Angeles area, we have some kittens available for adoption here. And I'm gonna pull a Van Gogh. Van Gogh. I'm gonna pull a Van Gogh move, and we're gonna go into. We're gonna dump bunch of yellow into this section, and we're just gonna create like design. We're gonna lather in this yellow, and not be shy with our paint, and basically just like mold and carve this yellow into here. And be a paint sculptor here. I was reading this book, or I was listening to this book. I shouldn't say I was reading because I wasn't reading. I was just listening to it. And it's by this artist named Robert Henri. So actually, the way they say the name in the book, the reader says it Robert Henri. But oh, I keep setting off your Alexa. Oh, my bad, dude. So there's this book that someone recommended to me. One of the people that commented on my YouTube videos, and he said, "Read this book by Robert Henri." And I read it, and he was talking like one of the, you can have all sorts of brush strokes. You can have lazy brush strokes. You can have expressive brush strokes. You can have angry brush strokes. You can have so many brush strokes, but the one brush stroke that ranks the lowest on his scale of like good brush strokes versus bad is simply the meager brush stroke. And by meager, he defined that as like without a lot of paint. And I want to make sure, I've constantly wanted to make sure that my paintings are filled with paint. To not be shy about my usage of paint. I really think that made it a lot denser. Made it a much denser painting here. Like being able to see the texture up close is a way different. And what am I going to do with this color now? Let's go into here. What's next? Kitty. What's up, dude? How's your cat, Omizu? What's going on? How's your cat doing? So we should put a cat, huh? Let's find a place to place a cat. Color cat should be. We're gonna take this ochre here and create an ochre colored cat face. Let's throw in a little yellow nose. Let's see. Hey, look at me. How far up is your nose? What's up, dude? What's up? He's like opening his mouth while I'm talking to him. This is our cat. Okay. So anyway, go around. Let's create this. Let's make vibrant ties with our yellow here. Make this more vibrant by bringing in our yellow. Just going around this, adding this color that goes very well with green. It's not a complementary color. It's literally right next to it on the color wheel, red, orange, yellow, green. But I think it does create an effect, an effect that kind of brings it together. So I have so much space to fill. So much space to fill. I don't know what to fill it with. Fill it with ideas. That's what I should fill it with. Ideas. I have to work tomorrow pretty early. And I should probably be getting to sleep soon. But I took a really long nap today. Alexa, what time is it?
It's 9:01 p.m.
So there goes the pure color idea of Matisse. Kind of messed that up. But I like this. I like this. And this brown isn't really doing it for me. This brown is kind of like an ugly brown in this section. I'm not really liking it. So I'm trying to think of how to spice it up. How do we spice up a brown? It's like sections just feels kind of weird. Let's bring out our, maybe it just needs that green. Bring in some green and blue, and let's see. I guess that makes it a little bit more interesting, huh? A little too much paint there. We're gonna wipe some of that off. Ooh, look at that. There's stuff happening. There is just stuff happening. Massive design elements happening here. Gosh, why are kittens so cute, people? Kittens, my goodness, they are. If I had to debate whether kittens are cuter or puppies, I would say kittens are cuter. Now, puppies might do cuter things than kittens. But I think a kitten in general has a cuter look. Like, yes, a puppy, you know, rolling over who can't figure out how to, like, which side is up is incredibly adorable. But the cuteness of a kitten is hard to beat. So, clean off this brush. I'm going to use a different brush now. See if any new messages have arrived since my last discussion here. I mean cats. Robert on Rye. Robert on Rye. Is it Robert on Rye? I thought it was Robert Henri, because that's how they pronounce it in French. Like Henri Matisse, Henri. Who's the other Henri? Henri Matisse, Henri Rousseau, maybe. Anyway, cats, they're well. Most of them are on the bed, asleep. Cool, chilling. All right, dude. Chilling with the cats, watching a painting show. All right. Our cat kittens are right here. I don't think you could see them because there's one right there. Hey, Scout. Scout, what's up, dude? Say hello. Can you say hello? Yeah. Can you be cute for the camera? Can you wave? You just lick yourself? Okay, that's cool too. He's not trained to be Henri Rousseau. Yeah. So our kitten is not trained to be to do stuff on camera. So yes, the only thing he can be is a kitten on camera. Look at this other one. I don't know if you can see this other one. It's really dark. Let me turn on the lights in here. I don't know if you can see this other one. Just sitting right there. She's a tortoiseshell. Can you see that? I don't know. I don't think you can see that. She's like a tortoiseshell. She's just staring up at the curtain all goofy. But anyway, look at this. Look at this guy. This guy is so cute. What a little kitten dude. Hey bud, what are you doing? Huh? Trying to grab my face? Try to grab my face, huh? Yeah, alright. Just pat my face, you don't have to. What's up, man? Hmm? You know what's amazing about this little kitten? Is that he already knows not to use his claws. I didn't have to train him to do that, but like there's a lot of kittens where you really have to train the clawing out of them. And you know, he'll claw like furniture, but he won't claw your face. He won't claw your hands. He'll like show off his nails. Stuart Davis, I'll have to look him up. Like he'll like show his nails by like clenching his fists, and he'll show his nails, but he'll never like claw your hand or anything. Brilliant cat. Too bad we're gonna have to give him up one day. To give them up to a new owner. Just adding more paint. That's all I'm doing right now. You know what? What I'm doing right now, I don't think it's like a noticeable thing when you're just like looking at it from afar, but I think it really has an impact when you look at it from closer. Because you can see how because you can start to see the textures from the brush. And you know, it makes the painting look, the experience of this painting so much different when you're close versus like, you know, this somewhat distant live stream. Maybe you can see, you know, you can see some of the design elements actually, but it needs more shapes. It needs more shapes. It needs more shapes. Or maybe it's already balanced. I'm trying to find like some good balance because we got like this big shape, these big chunks right here, and it's kind of like just empty up here. But is there a story I can tell? Is there a visual idea I can capture? Is there, what can I do here? I'm seeing blue lines here. So if we could go with blue, let's see. I use so much paint already, like it's crazy. So my usual size of painting, the ones that I've been working on, is basically less than half of this size. And because of that, you know, I've already used like pretty much enough paint to fill one of my previously biggest canvases. So it's quite interesting to me to go into this with a and just realize, like, you know, you double the size of your canvas, you're really increasing the paint by that you're going to need by a lot. Not just, you know, double the paint, but like, I guess it is double the paint, but you don't really realize how much that is until you kind of like start working with it. So here we go. We're going to go doom, 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 doom. And when I look at this, I think, how the heck did Van Gogh create his texture designs? And I'm about to share a trick that I think is actually part of the secret. So, part of the secret of Van Gogh's brushwork. So whenever you look at a Van Gogh painting, Vincent van Gogh, as Americans like to call him, but it's actually pronounced Van Gogh. You know, it's really hard to create, like, to take a small brush and to just create these, you know, constantly create these perfect lines. And although he was an incredible painter and very precise, and like, I can imagine that as a painter, he would definitely be the type of paint artist that would go back to his palette with every single stroke just to get a new layer of paint. But although I think he would be the type of meticulous painter that would do that, I don't think that's actually what he did. Here's what I think Vincent van Gogh actually did, as far as painting and how he would like do his impasto brushwork, which was like, some of them are like these perfect lines that just come straight in an entire area. So here's what I think he actually did, and there's some evidence of this, but what he would do, and I'm doing it right now. Actually, I'm not doing a good job of it right now because I don't have enough paint here. So let me grab a little bit more paint before I do this demonstration here. So this is a cerulean blue. We're gonna grab this cerulean. Actually, let's just demonstrate it straight on the canvas. So this is what I think Vincent van Gogh actually did. So he would just lay down a ton of paint straight onto, well, maybe not doing it this way, straight onto the canvas, right? But he would, the idea is that you take a lot of paint, put it straight onto the canvas, whether you use a palette knife or whatever. Maybe you lay it on directly, and then you spread it out. You know, you spread it out onto the surface. So like if you're making a circle, you could shape this into a circle. If you're making some type of square, you can make this into a square. Whatever, let's carve this shape out here. I don't like this, how this has this thing at the top, but we're gonna even this out. Let's go, I wanna carve this little branch thing out here. Let's carve it away. And just make this whole section nice and blue. And what's bad about this palette knife is it's not very flexible. I have a palette knife that's flexible that I can actually bend and get the front, but not this one. This one does not allow me to do that. All right, so basically, just for example's sake, you get your canvas covered with a nice, juicy, thick layer of paint, and then you take a brush size that you want, and then you do all the strokes like right next to each other. So you can work really fast like this, and you know, obviously this has a different effect. And you know, even with this, you can start to see some of the texture. Maybe you can't really see all the way up there. My bad. So he would literally just create this thick texture, and I imagine that's how he accomplished some of his designs. And you know what? I will give a close-up as soon as I'm done doing this. But just as an example, right? Because the alternative that you got to do is I would have to, because paint kind of sticks, or depending on like how he uses mediums, how anyone uses their mediums, the alternative is you would literally have to pick up the brush to get as much paint as Vincent van Gogh did, to get as much paint as he did onto the canvas. You would have to lift up your brush and go down with every single stroke to get the texture. So let me share this close-up visual effect here. Actually, this is way. I don't want to move the camera because the camera is much harder to reset than it is the painting. So if you can see the effect here that's happening, you know, you can see this texture and the sheen that happens. But the texture comes from, you know, laying down the thick layer of paint and literally like sculpting the paint. I stole that term from someone, paint sculpting. Basically, I stole that term from a book that was talking about like laying down paint. Basically, you're sculpting the paint. So paint sculpting, and you lay down a huge thick layer, and basically you're just moving it around. It's not like a new technique, but I think it's interesting because I spent so much time trying to figure out how Vincent van Gogh would do some of his brush strokes, and you know, like I would come across so many problems. It would be like, well, I'm not getting enough paint. I'm using too little paint versus I'm not getting enough paint. Like first, I was not using enough paint at all, and then I had the problem of like, you know, if I do this with just the brush itself, right? If you see, I can really only get like 2 or 3 full strokes before white starts to show through because the paint either gets stuck or whatever. And that means that I have to get new paint after every stroke, and that really creates a lot of issues. It's very time consuming, and you know, I think Vincent would not have been shy to do something time consuming, but it really I think it's ineffective. So I think how he really did it was he would basically just, basically he would sculpt. He would take huge areas of paint, and he would take these big chunks of paint areas, and he would basically just lay the paint down heavily and just sculpt it around until he got just what he wanted. And again, there is evidence that supports that. I didn't just make that up myself. There's a lot of reading of his techniques and styles. Reading, looking at his paintings, looking at his artwork. And I could say this is like a river. So let me grab some white here. I want to throw some white down. Actually, you know what? Let me go with some green. Forget the white. Let's go with green. Oh, I already have green. What am I doing? I got this green already. And what I want to do is I want to go into some of this blue area. I just want to lay down some green. And because this is already like painted over, I don't really need to use that much. I just want to create like some dimension here. You know, I want to create some dimension with this section. And again, you know, I'm sure some of his other stuff was freehand, like, you know, especially, you know, I can imagine that, like, Starry Night, for example, or the Night Cafe, I think would be a better painting, the one, or the Cafe Terrace, or whatever, I can't remember the name of the one, but where, like, the people are sitting outside with the yellow cafe, and there's people just sitting there, and it's nighttime, and there's, like, a big yellow light at the top of the awning, just lighting up this cafe while people are chilling. I don't know why. I think that's the Night Cafe, but I can't remember if the Night Cafe is the one inside the bar, or if that's the one where they're actually chilling outside. But anyway, I'm pretty sure with that, the yellow awning, that's all he did was he took just a big chunky yellow, put it into you know that shape of the awning and just paint it on top. Like I'm pretty sure that's what he did. I mean, obviously he could have like taken big layers of paint with his brush, laid it on, and continued to mold it, but you know, it looks like the paint was added there. He was such a disciplined painter. When I see his paintings, I'm just fascinated by his discipline of creating like these perfect marks just laid next to each other so perfectly. Incredibly disciplined painter. Like he painted wild, and you know, you might look at his painting and you might think, oh yeah, he just like made marks and was just going like, you know, like he was like composing, you know, a music scene. But even a composing music scene, it looks crazy to the naked eye, to the person that doesn't know how to do it. But you know, it's very specific of what they're doing. And you know, I used to look at Vincent van Gogh's work, and I used to be like, oh look, he just like went like this a bunch of times, right? Like, you know, I used to think that, but the truth is, like, you look at his paint. If you really look at his paintings, like his brush marks are so tight. Like his brushwork is more fascinating than the brushwork of Rembrandt, I would say, in my opinion, because he actually had it. I mean, yeah, I would say I'm more fascinated by the brushwork of Vincent because it was like so disciplined in a way where, you know, I brought up Rembrandt for whatever reason. Like, I'm not saying that it totally was, but, you know, for those like sticklers out there about fine art. But I find Van Gogh's like brushwork fascinating because when you look at it, like it's like perfectly next to each other. Like the perfect size every time, the exact same size every time, and it's just like mind-blowing how he did some of his work. But anyway, shingles on a roof. Yes, it's like shingles on a roof, right? Shingles on a roof. Let me grab the yellow here. And we're gonna, you know what? Yellow and blue make green. So this is almost perfect. And you know what's really cool about this technique here that creates this shingles on a roof effect is you can take like other colors and it starts to like create a design. You know, and I think with Vincent he would create like, I still want to know how he did the sower. So there's a version of the sower where he like layers yellows next to blues in this like incredible and beautiful way, like just dot 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 dot, and then I can't figure out whether he did like a whether he laid them individually or whether he maybe he like, I don't know, whether he did it individually or he definitely didn't use this style. I think that was one of his earlier paintings when he didn't really develop his impasto style yet. He was just really good at making marks. And what I want to do now is I want to bring back some of this white. Let's see. Let me grab the rest of this paint here. There's so much paint on this thing right here. On this palette knife. See, so as you could tell, like, pretty much when I do this, if you don't do this technique of laying down the paint ahead of time, you're gonna get this, like, a lot of little, like, white speck areas where the paint doesn't really come off your brush. So you just have these, like, little white specks poking through, and that's really annoying. And if you look at Vincent's paintings, he does not have a lot of white showing through in most of his, especially his like heavy impasto work, his heavy painting work. He doesn't have a lot of white showing through, and the only way I feel that's possible with this method is with this method of putting down a ton of paint first, whether that's with the brush, you know, maybe, you know, I did something like, let me just grab red. You know, maybe it's possible that, you know, I might throw down the red like this, like all crazy, and, you know, unorganized, and then, you know, I do a lot of red, and then you're just like, oh, okay, now I'm going to shape it. You know, so you don't necessarily have to do it with a palette knife, but definitely you know, you can. I'd really like to see what you're saying about the fat over lean. Like, I know what fat over lean is, but I never really. I can't say I personally noticed that in his work. But I would like to see an example of that from your perspective. I definitely think also, actually, you know what? For his earlier paintings, you know, I think that there was a lot of like traditional technique of that fat over lean concept, but I don't really know if I see it in his like later works, the ones that most people know him for, because he was so thick with the paint. It's hard for me to imagine him like, you know, starting with this with a really like thin serious like underpainting and then moving into really thick, pure paint. Yeah. Yeah, he definitely evolved his style. Yeah, he definitely evolved his style. Like when you see a lot of his I think what's his name, Gauguin and Cezanne, or Cezanne, I guess you could call them. I think they have a lot of that brush technique where it's not thick and it's just like little strokes. I guess you know what? I have no clue how that is achieved. Um, if you know what I'm saying, like there's just these beautiful, like colorful, just beautiful, colorful lines, just really thin, fine lines, just scattered across the painting in Cezanne's work, Paul Gauguin, Van Gogh, all of those amazing and brilliant painters. Now, I will say that that's not thick and chunky for sure, and I don't know if that's what you're talking about, but Vincent used a lot of that in his early work. Um, I think uh, if that's what you're talking about. And I guess that's fat. Is that your example of like fat over lean? There needs to be some more shape, a wider variety of shapes here. So we're gonna paint in some shapes. We're gonna paint in some wacky shapes here. But let's clean off this palette knife. No, we have this sponge. I feel like there's something that can be done about this sponge here. I don't want to mess it up too much. This sponge isn't going to do anything. It's not going to do anything. I'm afraid of the sponge. I don't think it's necessary, so I don't think the sponge is going to help add value. Like, part of me wants to use it, part of me wants to like mess around with the sponge and see what I can do with it, and then part of me's like, you know what, it's like it wouldn't feel cohesive. It would feel too uncohesive, like, hey, he just felt like using a sponge for no reason. Which is kind of lame. So we're not going to use the sponge. But you know what we need? We need some green. I'm going to do like a field here. Grab some more of this green, add more field work. There's a field. Isn't just any brown patch. It's a brown field patch of field. Needs more white. Needs some white. And for this white, I'm gonna actually, because I used up a whole tube of white already, I'm gonna bring out my Utrecht white. And I actually got this, I think I got this on sale because it was a imperfect container. So I have a lot of it. We're gonna go grab this white, try to bring this white, ooh, it's so juicy. It's a very wet and slippery white I'm trying to get here. You know what, I may just have to settle with picking it up and laying it down in a different way. Alright, there we go. So we're gonna go boom, 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 boom. X's always make things look cool. Anytime you put an X. It's starting to remind me of a map. Grab this green here, bring in this green. Yeah, very methodical. Very methodical. There's definitely a specific process. I've reached the point where I'm kind of wondering what I should do now. What should I do now? These are cucumbers. I'm trying to think of a good color that would fill in this space nicely. And I'm still thinking it's this beautiful little green that we have because there's so much red. You know, I guess you always want to go with a complementary, right? So a nice green somehow. We're going to paint into here. I'm going to keep this green. It's kind of muddy. Grab some more of this green. This white is so wet. It's a very wet white because the oil, there's just so much oil in it. Let's start up here. I'm just gonna go with this nice little brush here. Methodical. I like that word, methodical. Methodical is an amazing term. guys feel about that green? It's like a very pastel green. Yeah, I like it. I think it'll work. And let's just keep going with this. We're gonna use this to unify the majority of our painting here. You know what? I might just have to go with our lather and paint technique here. Lather and paint, I call it. Lather and sculpt. I think that sounds nicer. Lather and sculpt. Lather and sculpt technique. So here we go. Spreading the paint out, and then we're going to go in, around here. And there we go. So in and around, in and around. Let's see. Okay, so here we go. Bring this into the red. And instead of just like throwing this paint on, I guess that is what I'm doing. I'm just throwing paint on. But instead of like, you know, doing a thick version of this paint, I kind of want to be able to sculpt it in here. That's funny. Last night, this is off topic of painting. I was sleeping, and I felt this big hand touch me. And my girlfriend's not here, so it definitely wasn't her, and it freaked me out. But it was just my kitten. I was like, holy crap, why does your paw feel so big? But, funny situation yesterday. Really random. Not that amusing, but it was amusing to me because I was like, why does her paw feel so big? It's kind of scary. How it just suddenly had this like, felt like this hand was touching me or like patting me. It was just a paw. All right. Oh wait, I hope I'm not blocking the camera here. Fill in some of the space here and go around. I think this is a great way to kind of bring all this together. This is a great color. I like it a lot. Add this pink yellow right there. Let's see, what color do we have? Let's go around this. And of course red and green make a gray, so I'm starting to have this like gray effect there. So I'm gonna not keep going. It's getting late. I'm gonna go to bed. Hey, take care, Omiza. Thanks for stopping by. Yes, we will keep this painting going. Yeah, I need to go to bed too, but I'm so intrigued by this painting right here. we're gonna take one of my jacked up what is this called? Fan brushes. You can tell it's had some wear and tear, and it's kind of just scrapey right now. So I'm not really. It's not really used for like fine purposes as much as it's probably needs to be used for just to get an effect. Kind of like this. What does that make you feel? What does this make you feel? I don't know. It's kind of wizardy, washy. It's kind of a cool thing here that it's like fuzzy. Let's flip this around. And we're gonna go. This like that. And we're gonna go around this and paint it like that. Let's actually cover this word desire. I don't actually like it there. Looks cheesy. I'm just going to take a lot of this white, fill this space with this cloudy white. How do I like that? I don't know if I like it. Grab some of this yellow and do the same thing right here, except I think with this, specific effect right here, I think I'm accomplishing the goal of creating a visually stimulating, like not only visually like colorful stimulating, but like, you know, you can almost like get your tactile senses stimulated because of the brush effects here. Let's bring this into here. I think that helps to kind of break it up a little bit. Brings it all together and breaks it up too. And let's see, this brush. Just get the rest of the paint off here. Paint goes on the canvas. Usually if I have a lot of paint left over, I like to get it all off onto onto somewhere on the canvas. Might be on the bottom or whatever. Psst, hey! Go, 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 move. Watch out. Scout, move. Buddy, you don't belong here. Go. Go somewhere else, pal. Here. Go chase. Yes, there you go. Go chase something. All right. So what is this direction we want to go right now? Let's turn this back around. We're gonna flip it again. So this is, I flipped it once already. We're gonna flip it again before we start the last section. At least like filling in the last sections or spaces. Alright, so we're gonna go and we're gonna go a nice flip here. And you know, flip it, maybe you'll see something different. I'm looking in the camera because it helps me to like separate. It helps me to get back. When I look it back into the camera, it helps me like kind of take a big picture view. Because when I'm standing so close to it, you know, just everything kind of just blends together. But when I can kind of look at the camera, you know, things start to kind of separate, and I get to start to take this in as a whole. And that's incredibly helpful. I want to find a nice way to apply some yellows. Let's go into here, right here, up. You know, we're gonna bring back our big brush. Behold our big brush. Our little kitten, their head is getting bigger, way bigger than its body. Makes it look. So let's go. Let's grab our white. Let's grab this white, mix in our blue here. Let's get like a very like a liquid light blue. We're gonna start just painting this down here. I want to bring back some more of that pure blue. Oh, I threw green down on my blue, which means I have to find a new spot to lay down my blue. Man, this is what happens when you're painting and you're getting tired. Is you start making mistakes. But it's not like a mistake on the painting. It's a very easy to fix issue. So here we go. Isn't this exciting, people? We're moving on to paint some beautiful blues. Some beautiful cerulean blues. This is just an absolutely wonderful color because it's not quite it doesn't quite have the density of like an ultramarine, the French ultramarine color, but it's just like a great and beautiful, wonderful lighter blue, and I think it really is helping to bring this piece together as we are wrapping up. I think as soon as I'm done with just painting this entire piece, filling the entire piece with just expressions of color, we'll probably be done. So that's what we're working towards, just filling this with expressions of color. Exciting colors and expressive ideas. And expressive ideas, not necessarily not necessarily an idea as in like a tangible thing, but just color variation, brushwork variation, all these different things as an element of our expression here. And that was the goal. Well, the goal was to basically try to figure out something to paint without an idea. So I started this painting basically just by having random remnants of the lights. So I was looking at this, and then lights were like, because it was a white canvas, I was like seeing spots of color, and I decided to take those spots of color and paint them in, and then just over time, as this painting continued to grow, we have come to this. So it's a bit of a wild painting with a lot of different elements coming together in a bizarre way, but this is an abstraction. This is a a representation of the mind in a non-figurative way. Or maybe this is all figurative, right? Maybe this is what life really looks like. Maybe this is a true reflection of our lives. Chaos, randomness, blues, greens, yellows, things not always going. Oh, you know what's cool? So I painted this line. Originally, this was flipped and it was on top, but I kind of like it on this side when it looks like little blades of grass kind of just sticking up from little plots. But anyways, whew, I got this one section left, and you know, oh, my mind, you know, sometimes I wonder, like, if it's true what Bob Ross says, that mistakes really are happy accidents. I laid down this really, like, dark green, and I'm wondering if that's what I need, a really dense, dark green to tie this all together. And maybe that's what we're going to do. Maybe that is what my mind was telling me to do here, is it's like, dude, just use some darn green and call it a night, you know? Use some green to tie this all together. And just a nice, dense, saturated green. I have this belief sometimes that sometimes what you think is an accident is really just your mind trying to protect yourself, or just your mind trying to get you to do what the mind wants you to do. And what I mean by that is, like, just now, I wanted to put a blue down, but I accidentally put a green where the blue should go. So that kind of messes up my palette. It's not a big problem, but it messed up my palette a little. And I couldn't help but get the sense that it could have just been my mind expressing itself, telling me, hey, let's use this green, dude. Let's make use of this because it will look cool. Where are we going? Almost there. Almost there. Let's grab this. I want to add in a little bit of white. I want a little bit of a color shift here. Just a little bit of a color shift. We're going to go paint this down. You know what? One day I may paint over this. But for now, this is my painting. Whew. That was fun. And now I'm just thinking to myself, what now? What do I do with my life after this painting is finished? It feels so complete, yet so lost. I'm doing this because I'm like, I feel like I just want to just paint over all this, kind of like get all crazy with it, but I don't think I'm going to do that. Not this time. So here we go. We're going to paint the sides here. Yeah. Paint our sides. Let's just paint a green. Got this brush here. This has been my biggest canvas so far. A very important moment for myself. It's an amazing moment in every artist's career when they switch to a bigger canvas size. Painting is higher than me. Probably bring it down just a little bit. But why bother? Actually get this up so we can painting the borders green. And now we can flip this around again. I'll flip this around again just so we get the other side going. And here we go. Time to clean the brush and call it a night, people. This is definitely a style that I feel with that works better with bigger paintings. Because if you do it too small, you just don't really get to see. You know, when you do it too small on a painting, I feel like you're only focused on the design. You know, because there's really only so much you can put onto a small canvas. But on a bigger canvas, you can focus on other things like brushwork, you know, exploration, right? Like imagine this on a small canvas. Like imagine trying to do like just this piece on a small canvas, you know, like it just wouldn't be like, you know, it would be so small. Just like this little tiny piece right here, you wouldn't really be able to play with it. I mean, you could design this, but I think it's the brushwork that really helps to bring a lot of this out. So, if you want to do abstract work, you really got to paint bigger, in my opinion. It really helps. It's not that it's better, but it helps it to bring out more character in artwork when you go with bigger canvases. So let's go ahead and close our stuff, and we will be done for this evening. It's been an exciting painting session, doing a new thing on a bigger canvas. It's very exciting to me. I will be going back to a smaller canvas after today, but for now, this is what we've got. And we're done. So let's go ahead and wrap this up. But for those of you that tuned in, thanks. And I'm going to call this a night. I think next time if I decide to do a large painting like this, you know, I'll still do paintings like this where, you know, I don't necessarily have the premise, but I might want to come in with some, like a more specific idea. But, you know, I was sitting in my living room thinking of what I should paint, what idea I should work with, and I felt like I was procrastinating trying to come up with ideas when in reality, when it comes to painting, you know, some of the ideas come from just the work itself, you know, just the expression itself. The expression itself can be enough to help to carry a work. But anyway, those of you that tuned in, thanks. And if you're just tuning in now, or if you're about to head out, we'll see you another time. But I'll probably come back to bigger pieces like this quite a little further in the future. But for now, this is what we got. So take care, everybody.